1987 Defensive Player of the Year, but there was one person that wasn't happy about that.
You're earnest.
Michael Jordan. Michael Cooper is a great on-ball denial. But check the other numbers. Check the other stats. 78 steals, 43 blocks. This league gives defensive awards on reputation, and it just teased
Wait a minute.
me off.
Who wasn't happy about this?
Michael Jordan.
He said something about it?
Yeah, this is quotes. We're reading quotes. You never knew that?
No.
Really?
Coop, you was locking people up. Mike, like, I'm out here locking people up too, but Coop, goddamn, how many times I gonna give it to him?
You know what? If that was any other Michael, I would say something, but that's MJ. That's MJ, so I'm going to leave that alone. But you know what? Mike was a force in his own, but he's more of like stealing. Mike wasn't he was a good on-ball defender, but he wasn't
passing lanes.
Mike would play that passing lanes and doing all that.
So Mike really played D.
He played D.
Yeah.
I should note up front that Magic Johnson was voted the league's MVP this year. You were the runner-up. You have any quarrel with the vote?
No, not at all. I think that both of us had good years, but sometimes you have to question what is the credentials for the MVP. No one really knows.
Yeah. What would you say they are?
How valuable you are to your team and to the league itself, and what you do to contribute to both of them.
Could a case be made for Michael Jordan then being the MVP?
Good case. For both, actually.
Let's define exactly what you did. I mean, 37 points per game. You took 28 shots a game. You were your team's offense, weren't you?
I was in the sense that we had to expand a lot of the other players' roles offensively, and it took some time for them to do that. I don't like to lead the league in scoring. I think that stereotypes you as an offensive player. But I think that other parts of my game was not acknowledged as well as it should have been. To have over 100 blocks and over 100 steals also. I think you have to be contributing in other areas as well as scoring.
Remember a while back when everyone was talking about the legitimacy of Michael Jordan's 1988 DPOY season? Some still argue that MJ didn't deserve that award. Now what's funny is not only do I disagree with that stance, but you could argue that MJ was robbed from winning another DPOY the year prior. It was the 1986 to 1987 NBA season. Michael Jordan was certainly a basketball phenomenon, but in many ways, he was still earning his stripes within the league. MJ was only in his third year as a pro and was just 23 years old. Sure, he was in the midst of averaging an astonishing 37 points per game, but there were still questions about whether or not that style of basketball could result in a championship. As Michael Jordan pointed out in the intro, there were also narratives about MJ focusing too much on his offense. But those claims likely came from people who weren't actually watching the games. Because Jordan wasn't just good defensively in 1987, but he was flat out excellent. That year, he established himself as a fantastic help defender, as he was an absolute hound when it came to blocking shots and trapping offensive players with the double team. MJ played defense like a free-roaming linebacker in the NFL, almost as if he had his own personal zone defense, just watching and waiting for his opportunity to strike. That year, MJ played all 82 games and averaged 2.9 steals and 1.5 blocks per game. He finished with a total of 236 steals and 125 blocks on the season. To this very day, Michael Jordan is the only guard in NBA history to get at least 200 steals and 100 blocks in a single season, which he did in back-to-back years. Here's a really crazy stat. Even if Michael Jordan was considered a center, he still would have been in the top 10 spots for blocks per game that season among centers. Despite the fact that they were barely a playoff team, Michael Jordan's impact on the Bulls' defense could clearly be seen, as Chicago was second in the league in points allowed and was in the top half of the league in defensive rating. So basically, based on the eye test, based on the numbers, and based on the impact he had on his team, it's pretty clear that Michael Jordan had a really solid case for the award. Well, MJ wasn't even in the top 5 for the DPOY. He finished in 8th. In fact, he wasn't on the first or second all-defense teams. partially because the guard position was so stacked with all-time great defenders. Now the guy who won it? That was the Lakers' 8-time All-Defender, Michael Cooper. Make no mistake, Cooper was one of the greatest perimeter defenders that this game has ever seen, and during his days with the Showtime Lakers, he was often assigned to guard the league's best, like Michael Jordan and Larry Bird. Now from a numbers standpoint, MJ certainly has the edge over Cooper, but it's also worth mentioning that Cooper was right in his assessment during the intro. MJ is more of a risk taker as a defensive player, while Cooper is more of an on-ball defender who prefers to impede a player's progress rather than causing a turnover. I can't stress this enough. Michael Cooper was one of the greatest perimeter defenders of all time, but there's some other reasons his award comes into question. For one, only one player in the history of the NBA has won the Defensive Player of the Year award while starting in less than half of the games that season. And that was in fact Michael Cooper in 1987, who started in only 2 out of the 82 regular season games. Beyond that, he also averaged the fewest minutes per game of any winner in NBA history at 27.5. Now that's where things really start to get tricky. Should you even be eligible for a DPOY if you're not a starter? How impactful can you really be over the course of an entire game if you're barely playing over half of the minutes in the contest? Here's another question. Would you rather have 27.5 minutes of elite defense from Michael Cooper or 40 minutes of elite defense from Michael Jordan? I imagine the answer has got to be pretty obvious. Now here's the thing. Generally speaking, when it comes to NBA awards, the voters have almost always cared about team success, and Cooper's Lakers had a league-best 65-17 record, while Jordan's Bulls had only a 40-42 record. So maybe some could argue that it's Jordan who shouldn't be eligible for the award since his team didn't even have a winning record. After all, of the 43 DPOYs in NBA history, only one of those went to a player on a losing team. Admittedly, that's not the best stat for Jordan's argument, but I'm about to make things even more interesting. That one time where a player won the DPOY while playing for a losing team was actually by Alvin Robertson of the San Antonio Spurs in 1986, and his team had a 35-47 record, which begs the question, if Alvin Robertson can win the award with a 35-47 team, then why should MJ be disqualified on a 40-42 team in the very next season? You guys let me know your answer to that in the comment section below. Now it has to be said, although this debate has historically been between Michael Jordan and Michael Cooper, several other players had some truly great defensive campaigns as well, like the defending DPOY winner Alvin Robertson, who averaged a league-leading 3.2 steals per game. Also, the 7'4" Mark Eaton, who averaged a monstrous 4.1 blocks per game while leading all candidates in defensive rating and defensive win shares. So in conclusion, was Michael Jordan the most deserving of the DPOY award in 1987? Maybe, but I could argue in several different directions with all these great candidates. But what I can say is that Michael Jordan was absolutely more deserving than Michael Cooper, especially when you consider the load and the responsibility that these players carried. So what do you guys think? Who actually deserved the DPOY in 1987? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Shout out to the members for supporting the channel, and thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.